We're on the last day of preseason week 2. The NFL regular season is starting pretty soon, and Dobbs and I have recorded our record predictions for the AFC and NFC. Those videos are going to be coming out soon, but I wanted to do one just solo going through and show you the actual decision-making process in terms of how I got teams to certain records. Now, this is not going to be the same records that I had in the other videos, but I think it would still be a little fun video to do. So as you can see here, this is playoff predictors. This is what we use, and if you can see on the side, there are the divisions that will update as I select the wins. So obviously there's away and there's home, and we're going to go week by week, and I'm actually going to pick through the playoffs, but it gets really hard when you have a team like the Giants, the Commanders, the Patriots, and the Panthers, where you're trying to get them wins, but in every game, it's kind of like, well, I don't know if they're going to win this game. So it's like you kind of have to give teams here or there. Another team I'm going to give a disclaimer about, it's the Titans. Their start of the season is really rough, and they may start out pretty bad, and they may end up being 500 or maybe above that. But to start the year, it is pretty rough. So, I'm going to start off with the Ravens here at home, week 1, the Bengals here, and I'm just going to kind of run through these. And if there's one game I want to talk about, I'll kind of get into it. But overall, we're just going to start going through these. So I think the Bengals take this one. And then this is a tough game because I do think the Jaguars upgraded their roster, and so did the Dolphins. But I think the Jaguars got better this offseason, whereas I felt like Miami was kind of replacing what they lost. Now, in this game specifically, I do think Miami would win. But with that being said, I do think the Jaguars might be a better team this year. This game, I'm going to give it to the Texans because C.J. Stroud's a little bit more polished. I really like their additions. And Anthony Richardson, I really like, but I want to see a little bit more on paper. I think the Chargers are a team to be reckoned with this year in terms of what people think they'll be. I think a lot of people think they're going to have like 4, 5, 6 wins. I think it's more closer to 8 or 9. And then Bears, I think, take it at home versus the Titans. This game is interesting. I think, honestly, both QBs for the Steelers kind of stink. So I'm going to give it to the Falcons, even though, and I think this is going to be a theme throughout the video, I don't think the Falcons are as good as people are making them out to be. I don't know, I like their safety addition. I like the Judon trade. I think it was a little bit rich, but I still think with all the new head coaches, new quarterback, new system, there's going to be a lot of figuring out. And I don't know if I can see more than 10 wins for them this year. So I'm going to give this one to the Bills. Give this one to the Seahawks. The Broncos are going to have a tough year too. I'm not too high on the Cowboys this year. I think this one goes to the 49ers. This is a tough game. I do think the Eagles take it. I think the Eagles have a ton of talent. I'm going to give this one to the Saints. Vikings. Bucks. Lions. Even though I think the Rams are probably one of the least talked about teams going into this year in terms of what they can do. I'm really high on the Rams this year. So let's now go to week 2. You can see all the divisions update, and then the numbers that are green will show the current playoff teams, okay? And it'll adjust these divisions up and down dependent on, what was I about to say? The seeds, right? So it'll organize by the seeds. Week number 2. So this is going to be a longer video, but just to kind of see how the season's going to play out, I think it's interesting. I do think that Buffalo is going to struggle this year, especially now without Matt Milano. I still think that the Dolphins or the Bills are going to be a good team. I think, when you have Josh Allen, you are like a 10-win team. But with that being said, I don't know. I just feel like the Dolphins might take this one. I'm going to give this one to the Jets if Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Big if. This game is tough. Browns-Jaguars is tough because when you look at what the Browns have on defense, I think they're pretty much good to stop anybody on any given day. My main concern with the Browns is, can Deshaun Watson not play like a bottom 5 quarterback? If he can be top 15, even if he's 15, I think the Browns' ceiling is the Super Bowl. But if he doesn't play top 15, they're just going to be another early round exit. There's always so much your defense can do. We saw them last year with 4 different quarterbacks. We saw the Jets last year and the year before. Like, if your offense can't produce, at some point the defense is going to let up. So, unfortunately, I think I'm going to give this one to the Jags, even though I think the Browns could easily win that game. See, like, these are the games where it's like 50-50. Like, I truly don't know. And someone is going to get snubbed in the AFC. Probably 2 teams are going to get snubbed. I'm going to give this one to the Ravens. I'm not very high on the Raiders at all this year. I think their quarterback situation is tough. I would ride with AOC. But with that being said, I think Getsy is not that good of a play caller. Just from my experience watching him in Chicago, his ability to scheme a wide receiver open is almost non-existent. So now this is a tough game. I think I am going to give it to the Steelers. But I think the Broncos, I think they're really propped up by head coach Sean Payton. I don't think that their roster is very good. I think it's a bottom 5 roster. I just think there is a possibility that they couldn't go like 7-10, 8-9 like they did last year because of Sean Payton. Bengals, Chiefs, I am going to give that to the Chiefs. I don't think the Bengals are what they used to be. I still think they'll be a pretty good team this year, and I did like their draft, but I don't know. You could always make the argument too that the Chiefs start slow, which is fair, but I'm not going to do that. Packers win this game, I think. Chargers win this game. I think the pedigree of these teams, regardless of how you look at the roster, the Chargers just, especially with Jim Harbaugh, so much more pedigree. Seahawks take this game. I don't know, honestly, how the Patriots move the ball this year. I'm really scared for their O-line. I'm going to give this one to the Texans. We're going to go San Francisco here. Minnesota's going to have a rough run this year as well. I do think Dallas takes this over the Saints. The Saints, to me, this year, their O-line is a mess. All their stars are aging. I think Derek Carr can be good, or at least what he was last year at the end of last year, which was pretty good. He was a 4,000-yard passer. I think there's a lot of unnecessary hate for Derek Carr, but he is not as bad as a player as people make him out to be. All right, we have the Washington Commanders, New York Giants. We have the shit bowl. I personally think the Commanders are a better team than the Giants. And I think Jaden Daniels gives their defense some trouble. Going to give the Lions this win. The Rams take this one. And then the Eagles beat the Falcons. Let's move on to week 3. I'm going to go Jets over Patriots, obviously. I think the Chargers win this game. Yeah, I think the Chargers win that game. I think the Bills take this one against the Jags, even though I think the Jags are very capable of winning that game. Go Packers here. I think the Packers are Super Bowl favorites. I think they're probably going to be, not favorites, I think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they'll be pretty good this year, like they were last year. That's not some hot take. It's just the reality of like what they did last year. I think they can take a step up and do that again. Going to give the Texans a win over the Vikings. This is a 50-50 game to me. I'm really back and forth on the Bears. I think they could win 11 games. I think they could win 8 games. I would like to lean towards the 11, being a Bears fan, and I think It's just hard, though, because, like, for example, the AFC South is such a tough division. And I don't know. I'm going to give this one to the Bears. Well, I see, this is what I mean. Like, all the Colts games are hard. And it's like, it's hard to see them starting 0-3. But I could also see the Bears winning this game. I don't know. I think, let's give it to the Colts. I don't see, starting 0-3 is ridiculous. We have the Broncos and the Bucks. I mean, the reality is the Bucks are the better team. And I think just floor level, they're better. Browns fucking crushed the Giants. The Seahawks, this is going to be an interesting game. Because I do think if Mike McDonald can shut down the Dolphins' offense, I do think there is a chance they win this game because I do think the Seahawks' offense is not bad. I don't think it's bad. They're a confusing team this year, but they're not bad. I think the Raiders win this one. I think just out of terms of talent and how feisty that defense is, I think it is going to give Carolina problems. I think Baltimore beats Dallas. Chiefs win this game. Bengals win this game. Eagles win this game. So I'm going to give the Rams this win. I do think the 49ers and Rams split it this year. So I'm going to give it to the 49ers later in the year. And then I'm going to say Detroit wins this game. So let's move into next week. We have Jaguars, Texans. I'm going to give this one to the Texans, or the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars-Texans games are going to be 50-50. So now we got the Steelers and the Colts, both 1 and 2. I do think that Anthony Richardson can give them some problems with his legs if he's healthy still, unfortunately. And I do like the Colts defense, but the reality is the Steelers defense is much better. But the Steelers offense is just bad. And it's going to be bad in my opinion. So I'm going to give this to the Colts. All right, Broncos, Jets. I think it's easily the Jets. Chiefs take this one. Browns take this one. Let's give the Bills one versus the Ravens. Nah, the Ravens are winning this game. Titans, Dolphins. See, this is tough because the Titans are 0-3 at this point, and the Dolphins are 2-1. So do the Titans start 0-4? Like, doesn't that seem unrealistic? But at the same time, like, due to their opponents, like, very, very real. I do think there is a chance that the Titans win this game. So I'm going to give it to the Titans. I'm going to give the Titans the first win on this year. Bengals win here. 49ers win here. No surprise. You know, Cowboys are going to take this one. Packers are going to take this one. As much as I'd like to see the Bears, I think the Rams take that one. Eagles take it. Falcons take it. I think the Cardinals, I don't know. I feel like the floor of the Cardinals is probably the same as the floor of the Commanders. But I think the Cardinals, I trust kind of the infrastructure of the Cardinals a little bit more than the Commanders until I've seen a full year out of them. I really like what the Cardinals have done with their rebuild. You know, these games are always amazing. For some reason, the Seahawks and the Lions have great games whenever they play, and I think that's why the NFL keeps scheduling them. So I'm going to give it to the Lions. I think they're the better team. Let's move to week 5. Let's give this one to the Texans. Give this one to the Jags. The Ravens are just the better team. Dolphins. Another shit bowl. Let's give this one to the Broncos. Jets, Browns, Cowboys, Chiefs. Give this one to the Bucks. Bears, 49ers, Seattle. This is where it gets interesting because I really do. The Packers are a really, really good team. But I think McVay, to me, gives like the coaching edge here. And, you know, the Rams' offense isn't a joke, and neither is the defense, especially with the additions they made. So I'm going to give it to the Rams. And I do think there's a chance they win the NFC West this year. Colts, Titans. Let's give it to the Titans again. We go Texans here. Steelers. I'm going to give this one to the Broncos. Let's go Bills. I've been giving them pretty easy to the Jets, but I do think there are weeks this year where the Jets struggle. Because while I do think the Jets are a very, very good team, I also do think the reality is there is a lot of dysfunction in that locker room and in the front office. All you have to look at is the Hassan Reddick situation. You have to look at Hackett last year, Rodgers last year, Salah's on the hot seat, Joe Douglas. I don't know if he's on the hot seat, but his seat's not cool. So I think that's an interesting situation here. I'm going to give this one to the Bears in London. Leaves the Jags and the Bears both 3-3. Baltimore wins this game. The Eagles or the Browns? We got a 4-1 team versus a 4-0 team. It's really going to be dependent on how Deshaun Watson plays. And I do like the Cleveland D line against the Philly O line though. I think the Philly O line is still going to be good, but there definitely are some changes. So I'm going to give this one to the Browns, I think. Bengals win this game. Giants are off to a shit start. Packers. I'll let the Saints steal one. Lions win this game. Falcons win this game. Jags win. You know what? Doesn't this feel like a game that the Pats just steal away? I feel like the Jags are so up and down every year, and like random games they just screw off. So I'm gonna give it to the Pats. This is tough. I think the Colts may come away with a win here. Bills come away with a win. I'm going to give this to the Bengals because of, I don't know. The Bengals' interior of the O-line kind of scares me a little bit. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Hopefully Joe Burrow can stay healthy. Like I said, the Browns can really be a Super Bowl contender if Deshaun Watson can just not be fucking garbage. So annoying with them. Let's go Jets here. Give this one to the Saints. I feel like the Packers get the win here. At home. Rams. I'm going to give this one to the 49ers. Ravens win this one. 7-0. Holy shit. Chargers are 3-2. I feel like the Cardinals can take that one. Let's go Lions here. Seahawks are a better team than the Falcons, but I can see the Falcons taking that. I don't know. The Falcons, I feel like once they get later into the season, like mid-season, they are going to be a little bit better. I think we're going to start to see like Seattle's weaknesses a little bit as we get more into the season. Also, I'm interested to see how Geno plays with Grubb as the new OC. And they did sign Connor Williams, so their O-line is a little bit better. I'm going to give this one to the Eagles. I mean, Giants, come on, man. Commanders or, I don't know, man. The Commanders are a better team than the Panthers. Colts, Texans. Going to give this one to the Colts. Let's say the Browns give the Ravens the first loss of the year. I can see it. Jets win this one. Actually, I'm going to have them split with the Patriots. I'm going to give the Raiders this one. We know the Raiders have given the Chiefs issues sometimes, funny enough, and we know the Chiefs don't really, they're never that like 15-1 team. They don't care what seed they are in the playoffs. They just win. Let's see. I want to give the Jags this game. I don't know. Like, they're just a feisty team. Let's give the Dolphins a win here. Let's say the Titans knock off the Lions. I like that. Seahawks. Bills. I think it's got to be the Bills here. And see, so this is where it is very, very, what's the word for it? Facade, like misleading. It's very, very misleading because we had the Seahawks start off 4-1. But are they a 4-1 team, or is their schedule just making them look like a 4-1 team? And you are who you play. I understand that. You are what your record shows. But at the end of the day, do I think the Panthers are an 0-7 team? No. Do I think the Giants are 0-17? No. I mean, I don't know. After Daniel Jones' performance, maybe. But it's just like, at the end of the day, some teams are going to be really bad this year. I am going to give this one to the Chargers. Let's go, Panthers. Get your first win against the Broncos, even though I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Bengals beat the Eagles here. Steelers, Giants. Steelers are just the better team, unfortunately. Rams. I think the Bucs are better. Bears. 49ers. All right. We are in week 9. I think the Jets win this one because of their defense. Titans beat the Patriots. Dolphins beat the Bills. They're back in the playoffs. Bengals win against the Raiders. Ravens take the Broncos behind the shed. Browns beat the Chargers. Colts beat the Vikings. Jags beat the Eagles. See, now look. Do I think this is how it's going to happen? No, I think the Texans are going to win the South. But the Jaguars are a feisty team. And at this point, the Jaguars last year, I want to say halfway through the season, were the 1 seed in the AFC, which is insane. I'm going to give the Chiefs this one. Division, I'm going to give this to the Giants. They're going to get their first win. Cowboys are going to take this against the Falcons. Saints beat the Panthers, even though it'll be a tough game. Bears win versus the Cardinals. Rams win. Actually, you know what? Give me the Seahawks here. Think there's a chance they beat their division rival. I think the Packers beat the Lions. Let's give me the Bengals here. Chiefs. Bills. I think the Chargers are better than the Titans. Bears. Steelers. Weird week for the Jaguars. They lose to the Vikings. Jets win. Texans win. So the Lions drop 2 in a row. I'm going to give this one to the Dolphins. Actually, no, this is the Rams all the way. Shit Bowl 3. The Giants versus the Panthers. I do think who becomes 1-9 and who becomes 2-8? So when I look at the Panthers, they beefed up the interior of their O-line. Okay. Their tackle situation is not horrible, but they're going to be going up against Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dexter Lawrence. You have Deontay Johnson, you have Xavier Legette, you have Adam Thielen. Hopefully, Jonathan Brooks is back at this point. The Giants' secondary is garbage. You have Deontay Banks. That's really about it. And on the Giants' offense, you have Malik Neighbors. And that's it. So the immovable object against the, what is it? The very stoppable force. What do we do here, guys? This is the hardest game of the year. And I feel bad for fans who have to watch this one. You know, I don't love the Panthers secondary either. But I don't trust anyone to get him the ball. You know, I'm willing to say at this point Drew Lock is starting. I don't understand how you run the season with Daniel Jones. The contract sucks. It is what it is, but it's over. It's over. Give it a fucking break. Give it a rest. He's done. He's cooked. After what we just watched in that preseason game against the Texans, horrible. The Giants have more top-end talent, but the Panthers roster, all in all, I think is a tiny bit better. Sorry, Panthers fans. All right, let's go to the Falcons. Let's give them that one. I think the 49ers win that game. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give them a little bit of it's any Sunday. Or what the fuck? Any given Sunday. There we go. I don't know what I was playing. Eagles win this one. Oh, I don't know what that. What is that 10? I don't know what that means. Actually. All right. Raiders, Dolphins. I'm going to give that one to the Dolphins. Bengals. Chiefs win this one. Actually, give that one to the Bills. I think there's a chance that the Colts win this game against the Jets. Titans versus Vikings. I think the Vikings could take that one. I think it'll be a very interesting game. I think the Vikings defense is pretty good. They added Gilmore today. I really like what Brian Flores does with it. I am concerned about the Vikings offense behind Sam Darnold. And if Jordan Addison is going to be there all year, we'll see. I'm going to give the Browns this game. Rams, Lions, Falcons. Actually, give me the Broncos in this game. I think got a pedigree. The Broncos win. Texans beat the Cowboys. Eagles beat the Commanders. I'm going to split these games between the Packers and Bears, so however we want to do it. I'll give, you know what I'll do? I'll give this one to the Bears since they're at home, and then next one I'll give it to the Packers since they're at home. 49ers win this game against the Seahawks. All right, let's move into week 12. Okay. Browns, Steelers, divisional rival. I'm going to give it to the Steelers. Titans, Texans. Going to give this one to the Texans. They're the better team. Patriots, Dolphins. It's got to be the Dolphins. Raiders, Broncos. I'm going to give this one to the Raiders. Ravens beat the Brother Bowl. Ravens win versus the Chargers. Lions, Colts. Lions win. Chiefs beat the Panthers. Bears beat the Vikings. Bucks beat the Giants. You know, I could see this is a weird week where the Bucks lose. Commanders beat. It's an upset week. The Commanders beat the Cowboys. Cardinals beat the Seahawks. Packers beat the 49ers. Eagles beat the Rams, even though I think the Rams might win that game. Chiefs win here. Colts win. We're in week 13, by the way. We're almost done. But as we can kind of see, you know, the league is... Wins are going to be hard to come by for these bottom teams. Like, none of these schedules are easy. Going to give this one to the Bengals. Going to give this one to the Jags. Browns win. They're 10-2. Packers win. Falcons win. Chargers win this one. Jets win this one. Titans beat the Commanders. Yeah, Titans beat the Commanders. I think the Ravens beat the Eagles. Actually, I'm going to give this one to the Eagles. 49ers beat the Bills. Lions beat the Bears. Cowboys beat the Giants. I'm going to have the Cards beat the Vikings. Actually, give me the Vikings to win. Rams beat the Seahawks. The Saints, not even the same fucking division. Bucks, Panthers. I'm going to give the Panthers this one. I feel like there's a chance that... with divisional games, it's hard not to split them, you know? Because it's like you see a team twice, you're able to kind of game plan for what they did the first game. I'm going to go Jaguars beat the Titans in week 14. Steelers beat the Browns. Jets beat the Dolphins. I can't get behind what the Dolphins are this year. Chiefs beat the Chargers. Bucks beat the Raiders. Bills lose to... Bills beat the Rams. This is going to be a good game. Bengals, Cowboys. I think the Cowboys may pick it up at this point. And as you can see, they're 6-7. I don't think they're more than like a 10-win team this year. So they're right on pace. Lions, Packers, Lions at home. I think the Packers win this one. I think the Packers are going to win the North this year, I think. Let's go Falcons here. Saints, Giants. The Saints O-line is abysmal. It's really bad. But in terms of talent, the Saints should win this game. So I'm going to give it to the Saints. Panthers, Eagles. Come on. Seahawks, Cardinals. I'm going to give this one to the Seahawks. 49ers beat the Bears. Week 15, we have the Dolphins at the Texans. Dolphins are 7-6 at this point. Texans are 8-5. I think the Texans are a better team. Bengals, Titans. I'm going to give it to the Bengals. Jags, Jets. I'm going to give it to the Jets. KC, Browns. Let's give it to KC. like I said, I don't know if Deshaun Watson can outduel Patrick Mahomes. Colts, Broncos. Let's give it to the Broncos. I feel like Sean Payton late in the year, those Broncos are going to start looking good. We have the Giants and the Ravens. Giants, Chargers, Bucks, Patriots, Cardinals. Shitbowl light. This isn't a horrible. The Pats have a really good defense. Well, I don't know if Judon and Barmore are gone. I think Cardinals take this one. Bills, Lions. I think the Lions are a better team here. Eagles, Steelers. I think it's the Eagles. Falcons, Raiders. Let's give it to the Falcons. I can't remember what I had earlier if I had the Rams beating the 49ers. I think I'm going to give it to the 49ers. Could see the Commanders beating the Saints here. Cowboys winning. Green Bay winning. Bears winning. Actually, let me give it to the Vikings. Split that. All right, we have the Browns versus the Bengals to kick off Week 16. I do think the Bengals probably win this game. Chiefs, Texans. Texans win this game. The Texans have to do a lot more this year than the Chiefs have to do to win their division. So I think in these big games, it's going to go to the team that really needs it more. Have the Ravens beating the Steelers. Then we have the Colts beating the Titans. I'm going to have the Pats take one over the Bills. Then we're going to go Broncos over Chargers. Jags over Raiders. Now this is a very interesting game. The Rams versus the Jets, okay? So now we're really starting to talk about playoff contention because these are the last 3 weeks, right? So we have 3 teams from the AFC North making it, 2 from the East, 1 from the South, 1 from the West, obviously. Division winners plus 3 wildcard teams. Now, the Jaguars and Colts, the Dolphins, and the Browns and Bengals are kind of, in my opinion, going to be like one or two of those teams is going to get snubbed, unfortunately. I think the Rams, I'm going to give this to the. If we look at the Rams offense, I think it has more to offer than what the Jets have. Now, I think the Jets are going to be a player at the trade deadline to go and get Devontae Adams if he's available, which he should be if the Raiders are 3-12. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how healthy the Jets are on the O-line as well. So I'm going to give this to the Rams. I think the 49ers, I think the Dolphins can take this one. They need it more in this situation. I'm going to give this one to the Bears at home. Giants, Falcons. I think the Falcons, I don't know. The Falcons, I feel like could blow that. Eagles, Commanders. I'm going to give this one to the Commanders. Panthers, Cardinals. I think the Panthers can win that game. Vikings, Seahawks win. Bucks, Cowboys win. Saints, Green Bay wins. Week 17, we have the Chiefs and the Steelers. I think the Chiefs win that game. Well, I don't know. Does Tomlin? I don't think Tomlin goes 500 this year. So I'm going to give the Steelers that one. I think they're going to finish one game under. I'm going to give this one to the Texans later in the year. Broncos, Bengals. I think there's a chance the Broncos actually win this game. Chargers, Patriots. Chargers are a much better team. Titans, Jags. I'm going to give this one to the Jags. Well, actually, I think the Titans can win that. I'm not lying, and we know the Jags love to choke, except if they're playing the Chargers in the playoffs. Jets, Bills. I'm going to give this one to the Bills. Dolphins, Browns. I'm going to give this one to the Browns. I think that offense only goes so far this year. Colts, Giants, Colts. Raiders, Saints. I think the Raiders might take that one. Actually, I don't know. Like, Cam Jordan. You have Cam Jordan. You got DeMario Davis. You have Chris Olave. You have Derek Carr. You have Alvin Kamara. It's just these guys are old and if they can stay healthy. Bears, Seahawks. I am going to give that one to the Bears. Cardinals, Rams. I'm going to give it to the Cardinals just on some divisional bullshit. Falcons, Commanders. I think the Commanders can find some rhythm later in the year, but the Falcons really need this playoff spot. The Raiders have named Gardner Minshew as their week 1 starting quarterback versus the Chargers. Bad choice in my opinion. Green Bay, Vikings. I'm going to give this one to Green Bay. We have the Panthers versus the Bucks. I'm going to give that one to the Bucks. Cowboys, Eagles. I'm going to give that one to the Cowboys. 49ers, Lions. I think the Lions kind of have a vengeance going into this year. Oh, wait. You know what? I'm going to go back. Let me go back here. I'm going to give this one to the Seahawks. Okay. And then you'll see why going forward. So now we have these teams, right? So we have the Raiders and we have the Chargers. I'm going to give the Raiders this one. The Chiefs, Broncos. I'm going to give the Broncos this one. Titans, Texans. I'm going to give the Titans this one. Jags, Colts. This is... Okay, so that's weird. I think the Jags are better. Bengals, Steelers. Let me give the Steelers this one. Browns, Ravens. So this is probably for the 1 seed. I'm going to give it to the... Yeah. I think having 2 11-win teams in that division is kind of outrageous, honestly. I think the Ravens are good for 12 or 13, but I really do think the Bengals and the Browns are going to finish more like 10-7. One will be 9-8, one will be 10-7. So when you do this every time, your thought process changes. This is probably about the 4th time I've done this. But just trying to show you guys how hard it is sometimes to make these decisions because, like, for example, I think the Giants could possibly win 5 games. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really hard to do these because if you just pick the better team most of the time, like, you're going to have some teams finish with, like, no type of wins, and that's just not realistic. We have the Bills, Patriots. I'm going to give that to the Bills. Jets, Dolphins. I'm going to give that to the Dolphins. Seahawks, Rams. I think the Seahawks win that game, or the Rams win that game. 49ers beat the Cardinals. Packers beat the Bears. I don't know. 13-4 for the Packers. I don't want to say it's crazy, but I'm gonna have the Cowboys win. They're 10-7. I'm going to have the Saints win. I'm going to have the Falcons beat the Panthers. Will this change the outcome? No. So it doesn't matter who wins this game. Okay. I'm going to have the Vikings win then. And it's less about the games themselves and more about specifically like how the playoffs kind of turn out. So I'm gonna have the Giants beat the Eagles here. They start off, they're 5-12. So let's go next week. Okay. So now we're in the playoffs. Okay. So we have the Ravens as the 1 seed, the Texans as the 2 seed, the Bills as the 3 seed, the Chiefs as the 4 seed. We got the Bengals as the 5, Browns as the 6th, and Jets as the 7th in the AFC. In the NFC, we have the Packers as the 1, the 49ers as the 2, the Eagles as the 3, Falcons as the 4, Lions as the 5, Rams as the 6, and Cowboys at the 7. So I do think there is opportunities for the Bucs and the Bears and the Seahawks to make the playoffs. I also think there's chances for the Jags, Colts, Dolphins, and maybe the Titans to make the playoffs. Like, there's so much up in the air right now. But I do think that these records aren't too crazy for really any team. I think this is kind of the general consensus about how the year may go. I don't want to say general consensus. That's wrong. But, like, my consensus. So I'm going to give this to the Chiefs. I'm going to give this game to the Browns. I'm going to give this game to the Texans or Jets. I think I'm going to give it to the Texans. Give this one to the Lions. Give this one to the Rams. Give this one to the 49ers. All right, let's move to the next week. I think the Chiefs win this one. The Ravens win that one. I think the Packers might see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And I can't pick against Patrick Mahomes. So, this simulation, I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was kind of like a longer video, and I know we didn't discuss like a ton on everything, but we just picked like, I want to say like 256 games. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Let me know in the comments what you think was kind of the most outrageous record and who you think will win the Super Bowl. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night.